Hoka, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita live stream of November the 25th, 2022. How would Alita celebrate Thanksgiving? Where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host from Denver, Colorado, the Muskogee Creek. And with me from Fountain, Colorado is Lee. How's it going, Lee?
Yeah, pretty good.
Cool. And we also have with us from Colombia, isn't it, Alejandro? You've told me this like 3 times and I keep forgetting, but
hello, Craig. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, you're from Colombia, right?
Yes, Colombia, yeah. Right.
Okay, cool. I got it right. So that's good. Yeah. So how's things down there in Fountain there, Lee?
No, not too bad right now. Clear sunny day. It's been nice.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Ate too much, I bet.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How's it going down there in Colombia, Alejandro?
Oh, very well, thank you. A little bit cold and a lot of rain in this time of the year, but some problem with some a lot of water in some regions, but well, fighting against the bad weather in some places in Colombia.
Whoa. So it actually gets cold in Colombia?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Because we have different regions with different heights.
Yeah.
So we have from the seaside to the very high mountains. So we have different weathers in different regions.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess you would. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be similar to here where Lee and I are. We're at a higher elevation, so and it gets cold here. Of course, we're kind of removed from the equator, so we expect cold, but yeah, okay, I got it.
Sure.
So, Alejandro, I guess you don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Colombia, do you?
No, we don't. This is a very American holiday. It was based on a very historic moment for the pilgrims to arrive to America, and we don't have in our holidays this special day. We don't.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit as a historical setup for it. So about Thanksgiving, because I think one of the things about it is that the movie Alita Battle Angel, the way they kind of portray it in the movie, you get the sense that it's either in Kansas City or I like to think it's in Denver because of the backdrop of the mountains, because Kansas City doesn't have any mountains around it. So I kind of think it's Denver. But be that it's, it's got a geosynchronous floating city above it. You would think that might be, near the, on the equator. So I don't know, but if it is like Kansas City or Denver, then we'll talk about how that might have translated up, to the 26th century from the 21st century at least.
Well, actually, there was a interview with Robert Rodriguez, and he was saying that in the notes he got from Cameron had moved it down towards Central America.
Ah, okay.
But in the manga, yeah, it was in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's right. Because I know Figure 4 too. He was in Alhambra, California, which is on our west coast. So
yeah, the manga was a bit north of what the movie placed it at. Yeah.
Well, it makes more sense scientifically for it to be on the equator, doesn't it? For Iron City to be there because it's, it's easier, I guess, to have a geosynchronous orbit, there. Although at their level of technology, at least in Jeru, they could probably figure it out some way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In the manga, I think because of the cataclysms that Earth had suffered in the past, its axial tilt got knocked off of where it is right now. So I think at that point, Kansas City was on the equator, basically.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
That's a weird thought.
So I mean, there was like a huge I think it was a comet that slammed into it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so
I think it was that, plus I think maybe one other big cataclysm that hit that really just knocked the Earth all over the place.
yeah, I think so.
But of course, in the movie, they didn't have any of that. It was just a huge war between Earth and Mars.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get into that, into more detail about Thanksgiving. And we'll even tell you what Thanksgiving is for those of you that don't know what Thanksgiving is. It's like Alejandro says, it is a uniquely American holiday. But before we, I always do this, don't I? I always welcome the guests before clicking to this slide. So I do that every time. So maybe I should just take this slide out, I guess, before we get into the main topic, I just wanted to kind of, bring everybody up to date on the petition. Yeah, we passed 177,000 signatures. So I think we added something like 40 over the past week, so kind of moving along slow, but that's still a lot, 177,000 plus signatures is a lot. So anyway, there's there's the link down there, on the slide. I guess I could put that link in the description for anybody that watches. Is that probably what I ought to start doing? So, but anyway, we're getting there. We've got more signatures than the Snyder Cut folks got when they got their version of Justice League. So, that's a positive thing, and that coupled with the fact that Rosa and James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez all want a sequel. There's been some conjecture, though, that Robert Rodriguez somehow is not in with Disney anymore. I don't know. I forget where I read that. Because he changed his, I guess, his background on his Twitter account. He doesn't have Alita on it anymore, but I don't know the story. So, it could be nothing more than him just wanting to change his Twitter background. That could be that simple,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're getting there. We want to really get to 200,000 so we can, have a really high number. So Disney might take notice of it, I think. Okay, let's go into a little bit about Thanksgiving, and Alejandro hit it right on the head. Its origin is one of not the first colony, but one of the early colonies in the United States. Before the United States was even the United States, we were really kind of a territory, or in the British Empire at that point. And the Pilgrims landed there. I don't know if they had a hard winter, or they were not doing very well, and the American Indians actually helped them through the first few years, to help them survive. And they, it's I guess in legend, which I think is true, is that they had a big feast. That they invited the American Indians, and they ate turkey and all that good stuff, I think. So and they literally became friends at that point. Now I think it kind of went south after many years, but they basically were, the whole thing is they were giving thanks, for their American Indian friends, and being able to survive, and having a rich life, and all that kind of good stuff. And that I believe did occur in November, I think, and that's why we have it on I think the last Thursday of November usually is when that is, or maybe the third week or something like that. It's not always on the 23rd, or like yesterday it was 24th, because of the way the days kind of fall out, but it's always like that third week or so, and it's always on a Thursday. So that's a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving. And of course, Alita there has been studying that, so she knows it. So, so yeah. But anyway, the way I see this is that, of course, certainly with the manga, if they're if Kansas City is actually where they are, and they've had they still get that geosynchronous orbit thing going and all that. But if it's Kansas City and that's what Iron City becomes, then it is a North American, type thing. So it seems to me like we talked about this with Halloween, that if they did celebrate, Halloween, it would stand to reason that they would also celebrate other American holidays like Thanksgiving and even Christmas for that matter, But the way it works up here in the States, and Lee knows this already, and probably I think Alejandro, you know it too, but usually it involves, a big gathering of the family, extended family, and everyone comes over to somebody's house and we have a big meal. And, it's usually involves turkey and dressing and cranberry sauce and in some cases wine or champagne, whatever, and everybody gets together every year just for that, just to have a feast with their family. Also up here in the U.S., we have, various churches have religious services. We'll chat a little bit about that, how that I'm not sure how that would play in Alita's world, but, we do see evidence of a church, now it's a dilapidated church for sure,
It's pretty much a ruin, really.
Yeah, that's what it is. And certainly another tradition here that has evolved over, say, the past 50 to 60 years is that, all the guys watch American football. So for Alita, they're not playing American football, but they probably would do something with motorball. They'd probably have a motorball match on Thanksgiving Day for everybody to watch. That would be a possibility for that. We also have parades here, in the U.S. on Thanksgiving Day. And you see that last bullet when we say tightly coupled to Christmas. Certainly there are different holidays, but basically what happens is the day after Thanksgiving is called Black Friday. And that's when people go out like idiots and start spending money for gifts for Christmas. That's kind of what they do, So they buy all that up, at that point in time. Now, up here in the U.S., people tend to think of all the holidays like starting with Halloween and going all the way through New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, So, we don't have, every day is not a holiday, obviously, but, it kind of kicks off that general holiday feeling, about, here we are at the end of the year, certainly we'll have Halloween, then we'll have Thanksgiving, then we'll have Christmas, and then we'll celebrate the end of the year or the coming of the new year. So, Thanksgiving's tie to Christmas, of course, is the next holiday. Thanksgiving is Christmas is the next holiday after Thanksgiving. And, some of you have never probably have heard that song, the 12 Days of Christmas and all that kind of stuff. I guess that could loosely fit in here, but that's when people start planning, the day after Thanksgiving is when they start planning for what they're going to do for Christmas and start buying gifts. So that's kind of the way it works. And I would think that in Alita's world, it would be, if they've kept Thanksgiving, which they may have, then, they would probably have some kind of, and we'll get to this, but, they'll have some kind of celebration. I don't think it'd be a national holiday like it would be here now, because in 540 years, the United States, from what I could gather, doesn't exist because, the Great War of the Fall, kind of obliterated everything both on Earth and Mars, So anyway, what's y'all's thoughts? Lee, I guess I'll start with you since you're here in America and you know a little bit more about Thanksgiving, but what's your thoughts about this?
Well, seems to be more of, we would be going off of the manga, because that takes place actually in the ruins of North America.
Yeah, that's right.
I suppose there could be some remnant of it in the movie version, because there was people from all over the planet that, took refuge there.
Yes.
So some version of it may have survived. But if you're going by the manga, they had, I remember that one side story where Ito met Carol,
Yeah.
the young woman.
Yeah.
He was the only one in the entire city celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
So it seemed like there wasn't really much that remained of the old holidays. Because I remember the woman he was living with, who was just his roommate, she was never at the apartment. She was always out working constantly.
Yeah.
But
that was his nurse, wasn't it, Carol, or was that?
No, that was another woman. I think she was a blonde.
Yeah. Okay.
When she came home one day and saw that Ito was trying to take care of Carol because she was out there homeless, she basically went ballistic, thought Ito was up to something else, and threw them both out and his cat. I think she tossed his Christmas tree out after him too.
Alita did this?
No, it was some other woman. I can't remember what her name was. Okay. She was the one that was constantly working.
I vaguely remember.
She worked with worked at the factory or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of those side stories, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the one where Ito started trying to train to become a cyber surgeon.
Okay.
But,
well, gosh, that was even before Shirin then, wasn't it?
Well, that was in the manga, so there was no Shirin or anything.
Yeah, but I mean on the timeline, though. That would have been before Shirin if he was learning how to become a cyber surgeon. So,
yeah. Well, in the movie, I think he learned to be a cyber surgeon up on Zalem to some degree. Apparently, he got all of his. He and Shirin both got their medical skills from Zalem, and they may have learned a little bit extra when they got to Iron City to be able to do some of the stuff that they could do. But if you go with the whole what if thing, and what if there is remnants of Thanksgiving there, gathering with family would no doubt be a big thing with it, because your family's probably much all you got in a place like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Big family feast probably would vary widely from place to place, because you've got to have some people who really aren't going to have much.
Well, they had several they had like 4 different distinct communities in Iron City, didn't they? According to that.
Actually, in Iron City, they had 5 districts.
5 districts. That's right. And some would be more American oriented. They might do Thanksgiving, but in another district, where maybe.
Well, there was 2 of them that were fairly focused on one ethnicity or one type of culture. Yeah. There was the one that the residents spoke almost entirely Spanish, almost exclusively. There was another one that I think was either Japanese or Chinese, somewhere around the Oriental type cultures. The others, though, were a bit more mixed. Although one of them was the one that was directly under the shadow of Zalem, and that was like the poorest region, also one of the most dangerous. So it would depend. I mean, you can have some people who are a little bit wealthier than others, depending on how well they've been able to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And depending also on how tight-knit any one specific community is, you might have, people getting together for an equivalent of like, a block party or something.
Yeah.
Where you'd be able to combine sort of the big family feast and some version of parades or something like that.
Yeah.
Religious services, well, in the movie version, that's a big what if, because they don't go into really any detail about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
In the manga, though, they showed a couple of different religions, or some sign of them at least. Like I think one time, I think it was this picture here, I think, that in the manga, Alita was like reading through a Bible or something like that.
Yeah.
Then there was another one where, this is also in the manga, where there was some kind of weird religion that grew up around Tefaris. People were like worshiping the Sky City or something like that, as some sort of visible heaven or something. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But they had like a priest who was leading some kind of congregation through the streets or something like that. It didn't look like it was real big, but it was kind of interesting to see some of the various beliefs that might grow up in that kind of area around some of the stuff that has happened.
Yeah, you'd have to figure that any holiday 540 years removed, from where we are today,
Mhm.
that it would evolve quite a bit in that period of time. Because think about how much Christmas has evolved
Yeah.
since over the past 500 plus years. I
Well,
mean,
there's also
it was,
the consideration of the level of education. In
yeah,
Zalem, for instance, they have a very high level of education. And basically, from what I've heard from Ito, if he had a fairly standard education, then they probably kept a fairly good record of history.
mhm.
And they may not teach all of it to people, but they seem to teach a pretty good amount of it. Otherwise, I don't think he'd really be aware of, the old police and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And in Iron City, they didn't really, in the novel, for instance, Tanji believed that the earth was flat
Yeah, that's right.
because their level of education there was just so abysmal. And nobody was ever allowed to travel anywhere. So nobody could, say one way or the other. So in Iron City, it would probably be a lot of, various evolutions and changes that occurred in the various holidays and whatnot on Zalem or Tefari's, depending on. Then it would probably be a bit more closer to what we'd be used to and probably a little less drift in it.
Yeah. By the way, Jeff seems to think that book that Alita has is really not the Bible. It's something else.
It's possible. I just remember from a couple of the other people, like Chaos, and I think one other person, they were talking about
Enigma
it
Seeker also thinks that was a Bible.
Yeah,
but I
wasn't really paying much attention, but I was just going off what they were saying.
Yeah, I would say that illustration that she has, her hands kind of covering it up. I don't recall seeing any full page illustrations in the Bible. Now they'll have like some Bibles will have like some pictures halfway in it or something like that, but nothing on a page intermingled with the text. I could be wrong about that.
I had a set of children's books, not necessarily for like really young children, but for, preteen or something like that.
Yeah.
When I was in Alaska, and they were illustrated. Basically, each book was a different book out of the Bible with illustrations and stuff. So there's some that, might have.
Maybe that book might be like that then. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Alejandro, down in Colombia, now I know you guys don't have Thanksgiving like we have up here in the U.S., but you certainly begin preparing for Christmas, don't you? At some point, you don't just wait till Christmas Eve and start doing all your shopping, right?
Yes, okay. That's right. And in this moment, we are preparing some arrangements at home, like some recreation of the birth of Jesus for Catholic people, and for another person more universal thing is preparing the tree with so many elements. Remember the arriving of the Papa Noel that we called in this land. I don't remember the guy who gives the present to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point. But now with so many TV screen and so many cinemas, the Thanksgiving is very popular. Many people know about that, but we don't celebrate this holiday. But at the point that Lee mentioned, that very, very interesting for her knowledge of the manga, and taking the point of view of the film, I would say that Thanksgiving it would be a nice celebration for Larita in the expression of the gratitude to have the life again, to be part of the friendship with Ido and Nargehart, to share her joy, to find another kids playing the scrimmage at the street, to see the motorball, because she enjoys so much watching how people fight between each others. The another point is the sense of the family feelings of the Thanksgiving, because it's a very nice occasion to join the members of the family. Ido has a very emptiness because of loss of her daughter, and Shirin is with Vector. He finds in Alita some part of the family that he lost. So I think in the moment that they are eating the orange, or maybe taking some meals after having a nice time with Hugo, this moment that sharing food between Ido and Alita is some kind of Thanksgiving, because for both it's very nice to join and celebrate the point of the living in that moment, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there would be, whether or not they would celebrate the actual day of Thanksgiving, they would probably, at some time during the year, you would think there would be a get together of the family, you know, because it's kind of like Lee was saying, in that world, family's about all you got, really. I mean, Zalem has everything else, and that's about all you can have is just your family and, what Zalem allows you to have, I guess, So yeah, that's yeah, go ahead.
And I think there is another level of interpretation of Thanksgiving it could be in Salem, because as mentioned in Lee and in you too, Salem is Iron City is a place we join many different cultures, people from different places and many races and believing, and many different kind of persons. In some way, it's like the join of the Indians in America and the pilgrims from England, and join different cultures, different level of interpretation of life, and very different concepts of the universe. So I think that's that point of silence, that the point of join of different cultures, it could be a very nice way to celebrate the join of different cultures with the Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah, or some holiday that evolved out of Thanksgiving and other holidays, I guess. So it would be in common to all the cultures in Iron City.
Yeah, blending the cultures together like that could be one of the main driving forces behind it, evolving into some other new thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that may be what's going to happen there, maybe, if they do it. Of course, we're all speculating on that one,
Yeah.
So anyway, in terms of Thanksgiving, it's a very food-oriented, holiday. And of course, as we know from the movie, that Alita, well, certainly there's a big gathering of family, like we already said, but you can see here that this drawing is Alita is going to serve the turkey, I guess, And you see they're starting to, a lot of people put their Christmas trees up the day after, if not the day before Thanksgiving, here in the U.S. That's, that happens a lot, and you'll even see Christmas decorations outside up before Thanksgiving, So, it's not uncommon. G'day, Maxie.
G'day, Creaky. How you doing?
You're supposed to say Hokahay.
Am I? Whoops. Sorry.
That's all right. So how's it going? Yeah, that's right. So how's it going down there in near Sydney in New South Wales, Australia?
Oh, well, just got back. So I actually made it here in time, because it starts at 10 a.m. for me now, so I can actually go out and come back sometimes. So,
yeah, Angelus, I think your YouTube is on, because we can hear it in the background.
Or he's pouring something.
He's pouring a beer, probably.
VP.
So how's the Aussie contingent doing?
Oh, Maxie's too busy getting wifed.
No, I'm here now. Well, I'm thankful for the Alita army and Alita herself. So there you go.
Yeah, we all are that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're only here for our girl. That's what we are, So, yeah, I think the need for family, the getting together with family, that would probably, I mean, that's deeply ingrained as us as human beings, even way back in prehistory, a lot of different cultures, not just U.S. culture, but, a lot of different cultures, different races, all this, we all crave or all want to be around family, and that's kind of cool, when you think about, because that's kind of a recognition of something that's bigger than you are and that kind of stuff like that. I don't see that going away, in 540 years. I just don't. I think there will still be, family members that want to get together for nothing else is just to see each other and have dinner or something like that,
Well, as mentioned in the novelization, people in Iron City generally are, fighting to survive from meal to meal. And when you're doing that, Thanksgiving is kind of out of the question because it requires a certain level of free time and affluence to be able to, buy fancy food and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
it may be that a lot of the people just can't for the reason of not, being well off enough to be able to do so. They might gather, but I don't know that they would celebrate in the same way.
Well, you'd get the feeling they wouldn't have a lot to be thankful for, would they?
Well, certainly not in the manga. The manga seemed to be a lot more dystopian than the movie.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And we know from one of the side stories that they celebrate Christmas, or at least some people celebrate Christmas in Zalom. Yeah. And Ido was celebrating it with that lass that he found before Alita.
Yeah, Carol,
that's the name. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier.
Yep. I bet it, and everybody thought Ito was kind of crazy too, didn't they? From what I remember. Yeah,
because he was like the only one in the entire city that was celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, because education in Iron City is not the top of the list for a lot of these people, is it? So they wouldn't know much about history. A lot of them wouldn't. I wouldn't think so.
It didn't seem likely, no.
Yeah. But anyway, at least as a possibility that at least families would gather, and those families that did have some knowledge of history might recall it. Who knows?
Well, family traditions can easily be, handed down from generation to generation. They might change a bit over time, but something you would think would get handed down to later generations, especially in larger families.
Yeah, you would think. And word would probably trickle down from Teferis or Zalem down to the surface, and they might get wind of some holiday or some day that they're celebrating in Zalem that's called Thanksgiving, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows, how that would play out. But
Jeff was pointing out in the manga, people seem to be much more survival oriented, like Maxie was saying too.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have a feeling probably any real holiday-ish type stuff would probably be going on in the movie universe more than anything.
Yeah,
didn't really seem like there's really a whole lot in the manga, unfortunately.
That's a shame, because up here in the States, Thanksgiving is the one day you're allowed to pig out without, without having any kind of guilt, about what you're eating,
Yep.
Well, does that mean you can pig out?
Well, yeah, I can pig out, and absolutely did so yesterday.
And you get lots of leftovers after that, so you can have meals for days afterward.
Well,
actually,
go ahead, Angelus.
I was going to say, from a nutritional point of view, you'd actually want to load up on carbs, wouldn't you? Or depending on
the day before a heavy lift, I'd want to load up on carbs. Yeah, and I do load up on carbs. On the days that I just I do some limited aerobics, or not aerobics, but cardio. And the days I do like lots of reps, I don't do heavy weight, then I don't pig out on carbs the day before those. So, you know, basically I pig out on carbs. I wouldn't say pig out because I don't eat like I do at Thanksgiving, but I do eat a lot of carbs 2 days a week, you know, getting ready for a lift, you know, on the day after. Like I typically lift heavy on Tuesday and Thursday. And so on Monday and Wednesday, you will eat more carbs than I normally do, you know, so. Do they have any? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
Yes,
Alejandro.
yes, I would say that the problem that I see in the drawing of the manga at the left is in Island City there isn't any birds or any turkey because it was I think it was a rule that there is not any birds there because it was a very hard rule that nobody can fly even a kite for talent. So there is no way to celebrate the Thanksgiving with the turkey.
Yeah.
Well, when we were raising turkeys up in Alaska, we had, I think the highest any of them flew was we had one that would fly up on top of the gate and sit there. Otherwise, they never flew. At least that was the domesticated turkeys that we raised.
Yeah, I think the wild turkeys do.
The
Not to
wild
be
turkeys
confused
seem
with
to,
it, not to be confused with the liquor wild turkey, but you
Yeah.
know, the birds.
Mhm. But yeah, the ones that we raised in pens, for whatever reason, they just didn't seem to fly.
They'd be like chickens too. You know, chickens don't really fly that high either.
Yeah,
So
I think they hop really, a really few feet, and then they come right back down to earth again.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Maxie and Angelus, what I asked Alejandro this because I know in Australia you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but is there some special day or something like that prior to Christmas that kind of kicks people off to getting ready for Christmas and stuff like that? Is there anything like that going on in Straya?
I would say no, in the context that, as the old saying goes, like it's beer o'clock somewhere in the world. So
Yeah, but there's no particular day, right? Of
no, I mean like we like excuse me, here in Brisbane we have you know, we celebrate the fact that we live, or our main capital city is like lives on a river. Like that's I guess one of our selling points, if you will. I mean, yes, all capitals, all cities have like some sort of like
special day or what?
no, like some like sea access, if you will,
Oh,
like
okay.
harbors and ports. But like ours was like designed around it because our city was built like in and around the Brisbane River. So
Oh,
and so yeah, where I'm going with that is that we have celebration every year, every September, and this, we call it the Brisbane River Fire, and we, you know, just shoot off fireworks for no reason other than the fact that we can.
okay. What about
we have, like-
Sydney? Oh, go ahead, Angelus. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like we have the flybys as well, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, Maxie, what about Sydney? Or you're north of Sydney, but
I lived in Sydney for many years, though.
yeah. So what do you guys do before Christmas? Not, I mean, I know you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but you know what?
Well, the used to be that you wouldn't see any decorations in stores or anything, which was generally the cue that you're supposed to start shopping for Christmas, until midway through November. But now they show up bloody start of September. So,
Yep.
so it's like, and the funny thing is, on I think it's Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas.
Day after
they start selling hot cross buns for Easter, and they just sell them from.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's a hot cross buns for like 3 months.
Holy crap! So it's a year-round process there.
Oh yeah, any excuse to sell shit, they just go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we even did Halloween this year for the first time ever. It's starting to catch on down here now, so.
Well, you get to dress up. That's probably one reason it's catching on.
Yeah, my son was keen on the dressing up part, except that it was quite a warm day on our standards.
Yeah.
Like you guys, it's getting cold, but for us, the days are getting longer and it's getting warmer.
Well,
And he had a full face mask and a big curly purple wig, and he got really hot.
Well, we kind of had an unseasonably warm Halloween. At least we did, Lee. I don't know if you did, but I had like, God Almighty, I guess I had like 60 trick or treaters.
Well, down here for the last, I think, 5 or 6 years at least, it has been getting warmer during October.
Yeah, and it was like 70 here. So the kids were out in force. For upper 60s anyway. Which is which 30 years ago would be unusual for around here. It'd be cold, normally. But anyway,
I was quite surprised around here. About 1 in 6 houses had Halloween decorations, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty keen. That's the most I've ever seen before. And but it wasn't like concentrated, so you'd like have maybe 2 or 3 houses in a street. So I was driving them around because Dad's taxi, and they're pulling up in front of places, and my wife and son would leap out and go up, and my son had his little pumpkin coloured bucket, and he was quite pleased. He got a reasonably good haul, and since COVID, they tend not to have like open. We call them lollies. You call them candies, I guess.
Okay.
But they don't tend to be open ones. They tend to be little packeted ones. So,
yeah.
It seemed to be quite reasonably safe. And my wife and son like to share, some treats before bed kind of thing. It's one of the things that they do. So I think my son made them last for about 2 or 3 weeks. So that was pretty.
That's pretty cool. Usually kids wouldn't do that. They'd have that sucker eaten in about 2 days.
Nah, my son likes to make things last. He usually makes his Easter eggs last for about 3 months, maybe 4.
Oh wow. Well, that got there, Maxie. You got a little family tradition type thing going on there,
Ah, yeah. I mean, you just do it because you got to make some memories for him.
Yeah, that's right.
But we don't really have anything that sort of kicks off the Christmas rush, except for you walk into the stores and there's Christmas decorations everywhere,
and you're bombarded,
and Muzak, Christmas and Muzak, and it's like, hang on, it's September. What the?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you what, here in the States, we'll even get some Christmas stuff in August. I mean, it's ridiculous. In some cases you'll see, a store come up, have a Christmas thing set up, and then you'll start seeing Santa Claus in a commercial or something, or an ad, from time to time, and it gradually increases until we get to December, so.
Yeah, I guess Thanksgiving is one of those things that's tied to American history, so that's kind of why it's not kicking off down here at all. We kind of do our family gathering at Christmas. That's kind of the time that you get together with family and appreciate or otherwise put up with them.
That's. Well, my family doesn't have that problem. We all kind of like each other, so, but, there are stories of families that have a wide spectrum of political beliefs all show up in the same family gathering.
A great deal of friction when they get together.
That's exactly right. But anyway, Maxie, to your point, yeah, here's we talked about this just a little bit. You know how you know now this is legend. I don't know exactly the dates or any of this stuff, but legend has it that that I believe it's either the Pilgrims, at Plymouth or something like that. Heck, that could even be Virginia. I have no idea. But anyway, they they were struggling, and the American Indians helped them survive, especially through the first winter. And they had a big feast to thank, to be thankful that they got through the winter, and they invited the American Indians to come feast with them, So, and that's the legend. Now, I don't know how close that is to actual truth, I think it's probably some truth to it, but I don't know exactly what the exact history of it. But anyway, that's kind of the notional kind of knowledge, that Americans have, of Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving, that the white man and the Indians were, had sharing a feast together. Anyway, that's how that played out, I guess. So
that's a general idea anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
But isn't it coming into winter rather than getting through the winter?
Yeah, well, they survived the first winter, and then after the winter, the next, I guess November or something before they got to the next winter, they had a big feast. I think is the way it's played, because they struggled for a long time until the Indians helped them. So they were, there was a period of time there where they struggled, and then they survived, and they say, okay, well, thank you for helping us, and let's have a big feast type thing, I think is the general notion, of that whole process. So they probably went through at least one winter, maybe two, before they finally, got their feet on the ground and, then decided to invite the Indians, to a feast, I guess. I think that's kind of the way that worked. Well, there you see Alita decorating the Christmas tree. And as I was telling the others, that here in the States, people actually start putting up Christmas decorations even before Thanksgiving. And I even seen a couple of them up in Halloween, that they'd kind of put out some decorations that would look like Halloween stuff, and then they would just kind of put more out to make it more Christmas, something like that, So, Halloween kind of gets us all going, I guess, toward, Christmas and New Year's, I suppose. So, but anyway, the big thing, of course, is the gathering of family. By the way, Alejandro, Maxi, or Angelus, do you guys ever have a gathering? I wouldn't say a pre-scheduled, but do you have like a day out of the year that you do gather with family, or do different families do it different days, or do they do it at all?
Oh, yeah,
I
sure.
think it's
Go ahead, Lee. Maybe.
Or Angelus? Yeah.
no. You go ahead, Leandra.
Go ahead, Alejandro.
Oh, yes. We have two special days for gathering people, family and friends, very close friends. They are the 24th of December, because it's the born of Jesus.
Yeah.
And the another is the 31 of December, because it's the end of the year.
Yeah.
It is more wide because it's like a celebration of the new year, but also have the vision to collect the people, like friends and family, and all joy, because it's the end of the year and beginning of the new one. But the 24th is more religious, because it's more joined for Christmas, for the born of Jesus. So it's more religious in that way.
Okay. So really, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are the two big days, right, for gatherings. Is that right, Alejandro?
Yes, that's right.
What about Max or Angelus? Do you have anything like that at all? I mean, I know you may have family gatherings on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, no doubt, or at least some kind of gathering, but any other day in Straya that?
Not something that we celebrate nationally.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've all got our individual state sort of versions of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say that something that's uniquely Australian, although they mightn't do much for it up in Brisbane or Vegas, is Melbourne Cup. First Tuesday in November. People tend to get together and watch the Melbourne Cup. It's basically the only day I ever bet on anything. And I've done pretty well over the years, actually. Can't
What
complain.
is that? Is that football or is that
No, Melbourne Cup's a horse race.
horse race? Okay, yeah.
It's the race that stops the nation, as they say.
Kind of like our Kentucky Derby, then I guess, because we have a
Yeah.
similar day, and it's in
Basi-
May, as a matter of fact.
Basically, any workplace that's worth their salt will have a little, a gathering with food and watch the race and have a sweepstakes, which is just basically like you pay $1 or $2 and you get a ticket, a randomized ticket, usually by sticking your hand in a big envelope and just pulling something out randomly.
Mhm.
And if that horse wins, you get a certain amount of money from the money that people put into it. So
You mean like betting money, or just the money that's in the till that everybody puts?
no, betting money. Like,
Okay.
a sweepstake is basically a randomized bet. So rather than betting on the horse you think will win, you just get a horse.
Yeah. Or you get one that's 30-1, you probably say, "Oh crap!" Right? And then you get one that's like 1-5. You go, "Oh, good." So
Well, you don't have to buy one ticket, and there's multiple sweeps. So
yeah, okay.
But well, that's as if you've got a big workplace. But I think I won 3 years in a row.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't bad going.
Yeah, they didn't want you to play anymore, did they?
Yeah. It was like, should you be getting a sweepstake? Well, it seems to work pretty well for me. You can usually make maybe 30 times your investment if you win.
Wow. And what? It's only like a couple of bucks, right? And
you put $1 and you get $30 back or something like that.
Nice. Okay, so anyway, I guess we've established then that Thanksgiving's pretty U.S. centric. One of the things we did talk about is if there was any remnants of the holiday that maybe survived in the two more English-speaking districts in the Iron City, and there probably is some of this Thanksgiving maybe up in, say, Zolom, because they would be more educated, know more about history, probably. So, because it stands to reason if Ito knows about Christmas, then he's probably going to know about Thanksgiving too, and Halloween, and all of them, probably. So,
Or at least the more major holidays.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, anyway, as I said earlier, that you see that drawing of Alita there carrying the turkey. It's a very food-oriented day here in the U.S. And we have some examples of Alita enjoying food. Like, for instance, she ate that orange. Now, of course, she took the bite out of it to begin with a peel on, which, I guess, which triggered the Alita challenge back about 3 years ago. So anyway, that was before I got in the Alita army. I thought that was kind of cool. But so anyway, but I don't know about oranges being the, a Thanksgiving specific food. I'm sure people eat oranges on Thanksgiving, but it's not specific to Thanksgiving. And of course, here she is eating a falafel. There's, that.
Is that what that was? I thought that was a burrito this whole time.
Well, I think in the novelization they called it a falafel, but it could very well be a burrito. Who knows? Probably most people would know what a burrito was versus a falafel. So, but as you can see there, Alita's enjoying it very much. So, she does like food for sure, And there she is eating chocolate, which is even better, for her in terms of what she thinks how it tastes.
Mhm.
And certainly chocolate is something that people will eat during Thanksgiving here. Now, it's not something that they go out of their way to eat necessarily, but you might get like a chocolate cake or something like that. Somebody might.
Kahlua infused chocolate cheesecake.
Yes. Oh man, that sounds good.
It was very good.
It was.
Oh, now I feel hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend that we went to go see down near Pueblo, his wife had made a whole bunch of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were homemade. They were really good.
God, I would have liked to have tried that.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But anyway, oh, go ahead.
Here around Christmas, cherries are in season. So
Yes.
cherries are a big thing in at Christmas in Australia.
Yeah, we also, have our share of cherries, and in the U.S. Not so much, I think. Well, then they could be on like a cake, a thanks that somebody brings or makes for Thanksgiving, for sure, that would be more of a dessert item, and there's certainly there's no limit on what kind of desserts you can eat in Thanksgiving. Usually, though, in terms of the food itself, the meat is going to be turkey,
Well, these days it seems to be turkey or ham.
Turkey, ham, or if you're on a plant-based diet, it's going to be tofurkey. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I had some. Yeah, that's right. But I had something like that at what's called I can't remember, it was a roll of some kind that had some of this turkey tasting tofu in the middle of this bread. And man, it was outstanding. I mean, it did taste like some kind of dressing with turkey meat in it to me, Now I don't really eat meat, but for the past 3 years, I haven't eaten meat anyway. So I don't know, about that, but anyway, we had that where I was. And certainly, wine or champagne certainly is something that people will, imbibe, when they, during Thanksgiving,
Yep. We also had hot buttered rum and mead.
Yes.
There was a place down there in Pueblo that was selling some traditional mead, 2 different types.
Oh my God, I bet that tasted great.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little kind of I don't know, it's like a liquor store of sorts, there in North Carolina where my other place is. And they sell mead in there, and that's pretty good. I used to drink the heck out of that stuff. Not so much now, but yeah, mead's great. And of course, Alita, they do have meals, I mean, absolutely, now I think in the novelization, the description, and Maxie, I don't know if Angelus, if you've read it or heard the audiobook, or Alejandro, or even Lee, the way that was described in the novelization was it was like reconstituted chicken parts with either not broccoli, but maybe broccoli, and it
looked like Brussels sprouts there.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts rather is better. Yeah, and of course the way Alita describes it, the way she thinks about it, well, it looks pretty good, but not really exciting like chocolate or something like that. So
I wonder if there's a chocolate coated Brussels sprout recipe anyway, because then she might eat.
I can't really imagine that would taste all that great.
No.
Well, if you guys remember Doc Joe, the foodie, he reckons there are ways to cook Brussels sprouts so they don't taste like crap.
I usually just like them steamed with butter and salt and pepper.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely.
Lots of butter, but
yeah,
I don't really have much of a problem with them myself. But
yeah, I don't either.
Well, apparently, if you boil them too long, then they get all bitter and horrible.
That's why I don't boil them, steam them.
Well, I don't know. Do you guys ever eat okra?
I'm not even sure if they have okra over there. Isn't that mostly in the southern states?
Yeah, it's in the southeastern U.S. mostly. Do you know what okra is, Alejandro, Maxie, or Angelus? Oh, goody, we got a food that the Aussies don't know about. So,
Actually, I think I've grown okra for botany classes before, but I've never eaten it.
okay.
This looks familiar.
I think in the plate there are some sections of fish. I think with vegetables, because it's
Yeah.
very important for nourish the brain, as Dr. Ido said to Alita, to eat that food that very special. I think maybe the fish is more popular than any other birds or any other animals to eat in Iron City.
Maybe they'd have to have some artificial fish farms for that, though, which wouldn't
Yeah,
be
they would.
impossible. I mean, they do that with tilapia around here. They've got these like huge swimming pool sized tanks that they'll grow the tilapia in. Because I don't think they have any large bodies of water around Iron City in either version, the manga or the movie, that they would be able to get like fishing done in.
No, but you could imagine, though, if they've got factory farms, you know, to do the farming, you got to imagine that the factory also has, you know, like chicken farms and somewhere you would think, you know, and like you say, fish farms, you know, that you would, you know, that'd probably be something that they would want to do so they could mass produce, you know, foodstuffs, you know, for folks to eat, you know. So they probably have the chickens and the turkeys together. But to Alejandro's point, those birds wouldn't be able to get out. I don't know if you've ever seen a chicken farm here in the States, Maxie or Angelus or Alejandro, but these birds are all in this building, and they really literally don't move hardly at all, you know, for their entire lives, you know.
Yeah, the big industrial factory farms.
Yeah, that's right. And then there's some places that, you know, grow chickens that are free range, where they let them run, you know, around I can't imagine anything like that being in Iron City, because if those birds even flew 10 feet off the ground, the defense system would blow them to smithereens, probably, you know. So,
actually, I think they're allowed to get up to a certain height, but it has to be like under the level of some of the lower buildings. Like they can go up like 3 or 4 stories, and that'd be it. Go over that, and you have a really high risk of getting shot.
yeah.
And chickens, I don't think can fly even like 1 story high.
Probably
I think
not.
the highest I've ever seen them fly was like 7 or 8 feet.
Yeah, they're not adept at that flying thing, even though they're a bird. So
yeah. No, they do better than penguins.
Well, that's for sure. Or emus even. Now, religious services, that's something we kind of touched on, you know, a while ago. You know, just looking at the movie, and what I remember of the manga, like we mentioned how there's a couple of references in the manga about some kind of religion. You know, to me, it's like religion in the 26th century is just something that you don't see. You know, it's just not, you know, you got this ruinous church right here that probably hasn't been occupied for 200 years at least, you know, and there's no services in there or anything like that. Now, it's probably a church that was, you know, the main church of the whole city, you know, at one point, you know. And you would probably think of that because in any church, for those of you that go to church, the Creek doesn't really go to church, but for those that go to church, you know, sometimes you need to tithe. You know, in other words, you got to give a certain percentage of your money. Typically, it's 10%, you know, to the church. Well, in this society, that's pretty much survival mode. They can't
you're
afford.
not going to be doing that. Yeah,
that's right. They can't afford to give you 1%, much less 10. You know, so probably economically, I mean, if this is true of the religions at that point, probably, you know, that the churches went out of business just because they could not secure the funds, because people just didn't have it. You know?
That to me seems kind of odd, because one of the best ways to help try to maintain control of a population is through a sort of a state religion.
Yeah.
And that would be an excellent way for Zalem to maintain control of Iron City's population.
But the only problem is, though, if they got into that tithing thing where they needed money, they wouldn't be able to get it out of the the folks that are going to the congregation. They wouldn't be able to get it from them, the parishioners. They just wouldn't. Because they don't have it. Now, could they go? Maybe, but say going to church, like if you're here in the U.S., if you're a Baptist, you go to church on Wednesday night, you go on Sunday night, Sunday morning, sometimes on Thursday, and you're going to church several times a week. Well, it seems to me that the people in Iron City,
they don't have that kind of time.
They don't have that kind of time to devote to a religion, because they are so focused on just survival mode, that they can't afford to be sidetracked like that,
Yeah.
So my thought is that religion, like in the manga, there was those 2 references to it, but for the most part, from what I read in the manga, and what certainly you don't see that much of anything in the movie about this, but to me, it's like religion is a thing of the past, actually, Anyway, thoughts, guys?
Well, religion was a source of hope, and I don't think Zalem wanted anybody on the ground to have any, so they took that away.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I always found a little odd because, as much as I enjoyed the manga, particularly, I still found it really hard to suspend my disbelief in there because I've seen what happens when you get a population that is devoid of hope. You get a serious case of societal collapse.
Yeah.
2 big real-world examples of that would be Libya, what happened there, and Haiti, what's happening there now.
Yeah.
You basically get a population that you can't use for anything. They would basically lose all control over that population. So there'd have to be something to maintain some level of hope, to be able to maintain some sort of level of order, to be able to have a workable population that you could use to produce the things that you need. Otherwise, you just have nothing but chaos.
Well, according to that video, that's the background story of Alita, it's called The Great War of the Fall.
Mm-hmm.
Zalem actually gave the people on the ground in Iron City the technology they needed, and the support for their society, and some other kind of important resources like that. And perhaps they're trying to have that hope, built on that, where, certainly, they have a lot up in Zalem, at least, and that's the impression you get in the movie.
Yeah.
And the people on the ground are like, oh God, I wish I could go up to Zalem or something like this. Well, you're not going up to Zalem, but here's some good stuff we're going to give you so you can make your life better, maybe, or something like that. And of course, they all, everybody down there, as Zito put it, works for Zalem, in one way or another, either directly or indirectly, as like a kiosk that sells food or something like that to the people that live there, So that's kind of the way I see them, Zalem, giving them hope. Now, it's not much hope for sure, but they are kind of giving them something to at least depend on, or look forward to. And maybe the thought is, if we don't help Zalem, if we don't work, then they're going to take all this away from us.
But if you take all hope away from a population, they will basically self-destruct and just eat themselves.
Yep. Angelus, you got phone calls coming in there, do you?
No, that isn't me.
Oh, it isn't you, huh?
I think it's Alejandro.
Oh, Alejandro, you must be at the office, Alejandro.
Oh yes, I would like to say something about the religious aspects in Iron City, because there are some words that are very important during the film. For instance, the word of God is pronounced by Dr. Ito when he saw Alita fighting against the cyborgs, and when Hugo is hurt by Zapan, and he's in the church with Alita, when he says, God, I'm sorry. So the presence of God is something important in the men that are close to Alita. And there are some images that is very close to religion, like the words like angels, the words like the heaven, the hell, like Vector has said, I prefer to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, for instance.
Yeah.
And if you remember the speaker in the Motorball Stadium, she mentioned about Alita that she has the face of an angel
Angel.
and the body for battle.
Yeah.
So I think that imaginary of the people, that they are another world with angels, with devils, with demons.
So there might be
hell,
some remnants of religions in some form.
elements that the religion that they have in the mind of the people, that maybe there is no a religion very with a strong institutions or priests of a very good organization like that. But I think there are memories because there are buildings destroyed by the war, like the church. They are very important. But in fact, people have the mind that these are another way of living. It's another levels, because after the death, what's going to happen with the soul, with the spirit, and something like that. And that point, I think some people have that in mind, because the religions also remains in the minds of some people in Iron City. I think.
Well, certainly Vector he's educated, because that's a quote right out of Milton, that I'd rather rule in hell than to serve in heaven. That's that was gosh, what's the name of that? Wasn't Dante's Inferno, was it? Actually, you should know this. I don't remember. So anyway.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. We are scientists. That's the only reason I thought you'd know it. So, but anyway, yeah. My thought is up in Zalem that there may be some religious, kind of goings on up there, because, people, if they're better educated up there and they probably know a little bit more about history, they probably have more books to read up there than they do down in Iron City, so maybe, some of that survival of religion would certainly be, I think, would be more likely in Zalem than it would be in Iron City, but who knows,
It would be, it seems to me it'd be more useful in Iron City, though, and as a way of
yes,
placating the population to some degree.
Yeah, it certainly would seem like that.
I mean, using that in conjunction with Motorball, the whole, bread and circuses type of thing. And
yeah, that's right.
You get a number of little systems like that you can use to keep the population under some level of control and maintain a certain level of order.
Yeah.
I believe it was John Milton, 1608 to 1674, in a poem called Paradise Lost.
Oh, that's right. There you go. You must ask Professor Google, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. My Google foo is strong.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Google expert. Yeah.
Look, I sit there on the Science Fiction Remnant podcast Googling the shit out of Professor Google so that I've got some basis for the stuff that I'm sprouting. So, it's practice.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Any other thoughts about religion, in terms of, I wonder if Alita has got some kind of religious undertones, at least,
She seems to have some, but they're very minor at best. I don't think she really has much in the way of religious beliefs specifically.
I know she's.
I mean, in the manga, she mentions,
yeah,
certain things about God and whatnot. Like at one point, I think it was she was in a fight with somebody, and she said, "Even if God forgives you, I will never forgive you," or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So apparently, she has maybe some inkling of there being a higher power, but I don't think she has any specific religious beliefs or anything.
If the religions don't survive, certainly the concepts do, because she's a battle angel, or angel is a religious concept.
Well, also in last order, when she finds out about that big twist with the box that she's been carrying, she starts pondering, the nature of a soul and what exactly is a soul.
Yeah.
I got another 2 points.
Okay.
For instance, the first phrase in the film is the question of Dr. Ito when he's looking at Alita. What are you dreaming, little angel?
Yeah.
He don't mention why are you dreaming, little girl, or what are you dreaming, night girl? No, it's talking about angel.
Yeah.
So the very, very strong this imaginary in his mind. So
Yeah.
I think it's a very good, very strong tendency in the film about that. And another point, remember that when Hugh was going to show to Alita what is his best place in town to look around, the sightseeing is the top of the church. Not is it the top of another kind of building. It's the top of the church that is going there, and this is with the best view in town. So in that aspect, I think they have a strong feelings or tendency to combine the very high ideas or very high concepts with the religion, with waiting for something special from the highness or from the very, very high level, something like that, I think.
Or maybe hoping for something better too, I guess.
Yes, sure. That's the point, right? Sure.
Yeah, I still don't think though that they would have specific religious services. Maybe they do. We don't see enough of it in the movie, certainly. But any kind of spirituality or something, to me, it'd be very individual there. I don't think it's, down in the Southeast, one of the jokes is there's a church on every corner, but I don't think you have that here in Iron City. I don't think people congregate in a building like that to pray or to worship or anything like that. I think that they don't have time for that. That's just my opinion. Maybe
we have a saying like that, but you've replaced church with pub.
It's more individual, not for grouping people. It's more for the believing of every person, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do think Alita's a very moral person. Now, she goes off the rails, certainly, from time to time, but don't we all? I think Alita...
She seems to have a very strong sense of right and wrong.
Yeah, she does.
But it's sort of also her sense of right and wrong.
Yeah, that's right. So, but like I say, I think she does have some morality going there, but it's not, I don't think it's anything due to any kind of organized...
it doesn't seem that she has any real specific religious beliefs as such.
No, it doesn't, actually.
And in fact, in the film, there is any phrase or any words from Alita talking about religion aspects? There is anything like that?
I can't think of any. Not in the movie, anyway.
In the novelization, I think either.
Yeah, not in the novelization. I don't recall any. I know she mentions. I know Hugo says that he's going to meet her at the old church. When the cyborgs were chasing her and he was being chased by Zapan. So
I think that was more that they had. They had the that was where the two of them, a place that the two of them knew about. It was common ground to them.
Yeah, but I think the idea of it calling it a church, so they must have had some inkling of what went on there, at least in the past.
Maybe not necessarily though. I mean, if you got a landmark, a really well-known landmark that's always called by a certain thing, even if the purpose of that landmark gets lost to time, the name of it can stay for a very long time afterwards.
Oh, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
We sort of have a same thing here in Brisbane specifically. And funnily enough, Maxie might know it as well. but there's a football stadium called Suncorp Stadium here in Brisbane. But like traditionally we call it Lang Park, and that's where like like this really, I guess, big rivalry between Brisbane and New South Wales sort of came from. And like I said, because even though the name of the landmark changed, because obviously ownership would have changed over time, etc. People still called it Lang Park, and even then, they have like a nickname for it on top of that called the Cauldron, because whenever they would have like sporting battles, like it literally became a cauldron of like fans cheering on their team, sort of thing, and yeah, so like in that context, it sort of falls in line there.
What a great segue into this one. Because one of the things that happens here in the U.S. is that on Thanksgiving Day,
Super Bowl.
well, not the Super Bowl, but they do have 3 NFL games on that day.
Yeah.
And people watch it. I mean, after they've eaten Thanksgiving turkey and stuff like that, then they go watch football. And I think even maybe a college team or two does football. Now they don't play football in the 26th century, but it seems to me that if they did retain maybe some of the aspects of Thanksgiving, and it was present in Iron City, and since motorball is such a big deal in that city, it seems to me that they would, if they did that family gathering type thing and ate dinner and stuff like that, that maybe somebody might watch motorball, if they had a flat screen, that is, during that day, during that family gathering. Anyway, any thoughts, you guys, about that? I mean,
Well, they don't seem to have any specific special day for like large organized motorball matches. It seems to be something they do at the least weekly, if not multiple times a week.
So
it
in other words,
to be a constant thing.
So they don't maybe schedule a motorball match every Sunday, let's say a professional motorball match, right?
No, they don't seem to. They seem to have fairly regular, consistent matches that they do fairly constantly.
Well, they got 3 leagues, at least in the manga.
Well, there could be 4 leagues too if you count the unofficial sort of like amateurs tryouts type thing.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I know, it's a big deal here in the States, watching football. Well, and when I say football, Maxie and Angelus and Alejandro, I mean American football. I don't mean soccer.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sure. The different aspects.
Yeah.
No,
It'd be
but
cool.
now it's a world championship now in Qatar, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Sure. Everybody here in Colombia and South America, we are very, very fans of that sport because the tradition of historic, like Argentina and Brazil, they are very, very strong equipment, and they are won a lot of prizes during many years. So it's very, very popular here. It's like the Motorball United City thing.
Well, it's popular here in the States too. We have what's called the Major League Soccer, it's a professional league. Now, I don't know how well those players would stack up, say, against, the league in England or just say Europe or something like that, or other places.
But you know that they were playing today. United States was playing with against England in Qatar. I don't know what.
Wow, let me look that up.
The day,
See what that. Okay, they played, and it looks like it was a tie, 0-0. Wow. I wouldn't have expected that. I'd have thought England would have beat our brains out personally. So anyway,
And United States played with Colombia in one of the championships. In 2012, I remember.
Yeah.
And United States, I think they won to Colombia in that match.
Well, I know there was one
remember,
year.
I think.
Well, not the women's team, but I know one year the men's team actually went to the World Cup, and they lost, I guess. They have that round robin to begin with, and then they have the two top teams or something on the others playing each other. And I think that was the second round. I think the U.S. got to the third round, but they lost in the third round, I think. But I'm not absolutely sure about that. So,
but they got a very strong team of female players, right?
well, yeah, I guess if they're drawing on that major league, soccer, thing, if they're drawing on that, then they got professionals playing in it, I'm not sure they would. I don't know how well they'd compete against a Premier League as an example. If you took Manchester United and they played the Los Angeles Galaxy, I'm not sure how well that would work out for the LA Galaxy. I might be wrong about that. I don't really follow European football that much. I do watch it, when we every 4 years, they have the World Cup. I watch that because it is exciting, So,
okay.
What about Maxie and Angelus? Is there anything to do with any sports, with any kind of family get together that you would consider similar to what us crazy Americans do?
Well, depending on what sport you follow, and there's a lot of sports followed in Australia, people will get together and have a little bit of a party on grand final day. Especially if their team is in the grand final, that's
sure,
an extra
yeah.
reason to celebrate. But most of there's sort of the winter sports and the summer sports, and depending on what code of football you follow or whatever, it's usually in September. Is the grand finals for those, and then of course the cricket over summer is the big deal in Australia. So if you're into cricket, you can follow that. I've been to the SCG during a cricket match between Australia and New Zealand.
Oh wow!
It was interesting. I don't think it's as interesting these days as it was back then, because we did the Mexican wave and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the crowd was more interested in the game, actually.
Well, you're coming up on that, aren't you? Because you're coming up on summer, aren't you?
Yeah. Summer starts down here in 5 days, 4 days, something like that.
Oh, you don't go by the solstice? December the 21st?
Well, summer for us is December, January, February. That's when it's hottest.
Okay.
So basically in
but that's when you play cricket.
6 days it'll be summer here, theoretically.
Okay.
Depends on what the weather decides to do. Last summer was pretty cool comparatively. We had a lot of rain and the temperatures didn't really get up to the baking temperatures that we normally have during El Nino.
You guys play baseball there too, don't you?
We play a bit of everything. Australians are generally sports nuts. I'm a bit of an outlier when it comes to sports. I don't tend to watch it, but. So
you didn't watch the Blues get thrashed?
I don't need to watch that. I've seen it enough times.
What, the St. Louis Blues in the NHL? Is that just,
no?
You're not talking about the U.S.
All Angelus can talk about is Queensland thrashing New South Wales.
I see. Okay,
that's what he's interested in.
What
he forgets, before there was a Queensland, New South Wales stretched from the top of what Queensland is now all the way down to Melbourne. So
it's the Brisbane Blues, is it?
No, it's the Blues are Queensland, basically the
Okay,
Queensland home
Blues.
team. And
Because that- go
sorry,
ahead.
no, the Blue. No, I've got that back in front. The Blues are New South Wales, and Maroon is Queensland. So it's the Blues versus Maroons, and yeah, the Maroons have been generally stronger in the last couple of decades. So Angelus is pretty pleased about that
because I thought you were talking about the
he
U.S.
gets to rag on me.
National Hockey League, the St. Louis Blues.
No,
So-
there is more to the world than
Yes,
America.
there is. In
Creepy.
America, that's right. Yeah, I know that.
I know you have
that.
trouble understanding that.
No, I don't. No, I don't. So, but I'm just trying to be funny, is what I'm trying to do, and not succeeding.
Yeah. Well,
Failing
no, I mean,
miserably.
there's people who pretend not to realize there's a restaurant, and then there's people who really just don't know.
Yeah. No, I've been over on that side of the world. Yeah. So anyway, I guess, here in the States, football's big on Thanksgiving Day. And I guess if there was a Thanksgiving Day and, in the Alita-verse, I guess it'd have to be motorball because they don't play football in the 26th century, I don't think.
Now, I have to wonder, do they even have any other sports in Iron City?
It doesn't seem
And
to.
the manga, I remember they had that arena fighting.
Yeah.
And they had motorball.
Yeah.
So they might have that in the movie verse too.
So
Yeah.
basically, you can play Let's Beat Each Other Up, or you can play Let's Beat Each Other Up at 150 kilometers an hour. Woo!
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
So basically, NASCAR racing, but on rollerblades.
Yeah, that's right.
And just like with NASCAR, they're always hoping, the audience is always hoping to see a big wipeout.
Okay, Angelus, you know what NASCAR is? Seriously?
Well, I'm aware of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, again, we have some.
He's seen the
something
movie Cars.
similar.
He knows what NASCAR racing is.
The movie Cars. Yes.
Like the closest that we come is probably what, Bathurst? You reckon, Max?
Yeah, Bathurst. Yep.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to mention too. Lee and I was talking about this prior to the stream that I've been reading his fanfic, and I'm now at the beginning of chapter 3. I've read about halfway through it almost, and I'm at the point where that the main character Jason Deshane and the daughter of the guy that runs the farm that he's working on, her name's Loretta, and they go into Iron City, I guess, to pick up supplies, didn't they, Lee? I can't remember.
No, they were making deliveries to some of the smaller
that's
restaurants
right.
in the area.
Yeah,
Because they're a
that's right.
small, more independent operation. They have businesses that they trade to.
Yeah. But anyway, she's trying to talk him, Jason, into going to a motorball game, and he's really not wanting to do it,
Well, he's got a number of reasons, actually.
Yes,
but,
he does. But I think he's coming around, though. I think they'll end up going to it, is what I think. But I haven't read that whole chapter yet. So anyway.
They don't actually go, but
Oh, darn, you shouldn't have told me.
well, that's the thing. There's a real good reason they don't. It's because Jason ends up in Ito's clinic by the
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah, that's right. So
well, he's halfway through the chapter anyway. He's going to find out, hopefully, pretty soon.
Yeah, that's right. So
But yeah, I think it was chapter 16 and 17. Jason does end up going to a motorball game in each of those chapters,
yeah.
but not under the best circumstances, unfortunately.
Oh. Well, maybe Alita will befriend him. So,
By that time, he's starting to think of her as more of a friend,
okay, cool.
less of a killing machine.
Oh, good for him.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, motorball, it'd be big, and I guess if there was Thanksgiving there in Iron City, certainly it'd be an analog to people in the U.S. watching football on Thanksgiving, and that is a big deal here, by the way. American football is a huge deal. It's a big deal.
So is the Super Bowl on Thanksgiving?
No,
Or is
no, it's at the end of February normally.
Yeah,
So,
I got mixed up on that because Unless I'm actually playing in a game, I'm not really a big sports guy.
Yeah. Well, I like it.
I'm
Oh,
there
go
with you.
Yeah, I don't really much care for spectating. I like to be on the field doing something.
Well, I got two teams. One's a college team and one's a professional team. The professional team, the Denver Broncos, we're not doing too good. We're getting our butts handed to us regularly. And my college team is the Florida Gators. Now they're doing a little better, but not much. I think they're going to go to a bowl game, but that's going to be about it for them. So that's a special game after the season for those of you who don't know American football games. So. Okay, so anyway, that's pretty much it for Motorball, I guess. Now, there's a couple of other things that, maybe, comes into play here is I don't recall anything in the manga, I might be wrong, and certainly not in the movie, that they had parades. Did any of you recall anything, and maybe I'm just forgotten about it, or...
The only thing I can recall that even remotely resembled a parade was in the manga when they had that little religious procession of this. I guess they were more of a cult, maybe, I don't know, but they were worshiping the Sky City.
So they do have a religion.
Yeah, that's the one I mentioned earlier, where basically it's they had for whatever reason, they revered or worshipped Tefaris as sort of like some sort of like a visible version of heaven or something.
Well, that picture you see on the left there, the one of Charlie Brown with the football there, I guess that's out of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. So
are they still having those? I thought they had stopped those. Okay.
No, I think they still have them.
I remember something about they were going to stop doing some kind of parade on one of the holidays because of some problem or other that they were running into, but I wasn't sure.
Maybe risk of terrorism or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. COVID, terrorism, budget cuts, who knows? Yeah.
Today's world, which is not as bad as Alita's world.
Yeah, still not as bad.
Yeah, that's right. Not anywhere near as bad as Alita's world. And then there's Christmas. Oh, go ahead, Angelos.
Does Alita's world have an Alita sequel? Because we certainly don't.
Yes, that's right. And well, you know what? It's not only a sequel; it's a trilogy. There's Mars Chronicles, the original manga, and The Last Order. So yeah, in a very real way, there are sequels in that thing. So yeah, maybe our world could stand a little upgrade there toward Alita's world, I guess, at least in terms of a sequel. So
yeah.
Well, just to answer your question, to paraphrase a certain someone, I've had a little upgrade.
Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, Hugo looking incredulously at him like, oh, hell, did I give him those? Yeah, seriously?
He got over that guilt trip really quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So anyway,
in his defense, humans have a really good ability to rationalize things if it's in the pursuit of something they really want badly.
Yeah, there is that.
So it's not just a Hugo-specific thing.
Yeah. Although I've always said Hugo's a little shit, but anyway.
No, more so in the manga than the movie, but
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Even so, in the movie, he's still a bit of a twit.
Yeah, he is, but he comes around at the end, you know. And I guess he does
in a much more strong fashion, I think, too, than in the manga as well.
Yeah, I think so. That's right. You know, and we've said many times on this stream, he doesn't about face too little, too late. You know.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be a general theme of the whole story. It's like people, when they finally do come around, it's always too little, too late.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, just too late.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I started to think of is like. So does Kashiro even believe in redemption? Because it seems that anytime anybody does get redeemed, they just get splattered.
They get wiped out. Yeah.
Like Kashiro is like, nope, no such thing as redemption. you're fucked.
Well, we do know that Alita did some pretty heinous things when she was Yoko. So
Yeah, that's right.
you can kind of call the whole story from the original manga, certainly not before that.
Yeah,
from the original
that's
manga
right.
is a redemption arc.
So Alita gets a redemption arc.
Yeah,
Everybody else is fucked.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody else. Yeah.
It seems like
she goes pretty close to being fucked a few times too.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
there's
does.
that, yeah.
Well, she did get the baby bomb, so I guess she was pretty much fucked there.
That's
Yeah.
true. She did get killed.
Yeah, she did. She got
She just got a
splattered.
retry.
Yeah.
She got a reset from Sega.
hmm
Yeah, she got to level up after that too, didn't she?
Yeah, she
So,
got a brain boxed. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But that
You know-
Hugo though, he had a class 1 cyborg waifu, and he was making all the wrong decisions till the very end, you know.
Yep.
So
yep.
that's the way it goes, I guess, in Kashiro's worlds, doesn't it?
You don't know what you've got till it's gone. You know, like arms, legs,
Yeah, exactly.
spleens.
Yep. So what about Christmas? We know that Ito knew what Christmas was according to that side story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, if you're going with the manga, he definitely knew what Christmas was. Didn't give much indication of any other holidays necessarily, but also it seemed he was the only one in Iron City that was celebrating Christmas.
yeah. But you know, that does beg to say, though, that maybe people in Zalem routinely celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, they may have a much higher awareness of and continuation of the ancient traditions, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to, you know.
I mean, they don't really specify what, but you would think probably the major ones like Christmas and maybe Halloween. Those seem to be the two more well-known.
Yeah. Certainly those two more internationally well known, at least. So that and New Year's Eve, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, possibly that one too, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I would say that Alita being, you know, Ito's stepdaughter, if you want to think of it as that, it seems to me that he would tell her about Christmas. Now in the movie, he's not, you know, we don't get a sense of how long she's going to live with him or whatever, because, you know, they do kind of go their different ways until the last order almost. But, yeah, she's, you know, if she stays with Ito for any period of time, like over a year, she's going to find out what Christmas is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And she might even dress up like that.
Maybe.
A berserker Santa Claus. So you better be naughty than you better be nice more than naughty, or else. Yeah, that kind of thing. What was that, Angelus?
I can just imagine Nova cosplaying as a Grinch too.
Oh yeah.
Spray paints himself Dream, job done.
Yes. Yeah, it's not much of a disguise. That's for sure.
Well, would anybody know what the Grinch was? Besides, you know, a few people in Zalem.
Well, maybe. I think probably Ito would know, because if he knew anything about Christmas, he'd know about the Grinch. I mean, you would think. I guess.
Well, maybe. I mean, that's a Dr. Seuss type thing, I think.
Yeah.
So there's not. It's kind of up in the air how well that survived the centuries.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I can't think of anything else here. Did we miss anything, you guys?
Oh, I was just going to say that we're not really big on parades down here in Australia. We do have one big parade that's generally done in a lot of cities in Australia, and that's Anzac Day, which is the celebration of the Australian and New Zealand Armed Forces and their participation in World War I onwards. And it's like a big sort of parade celebrating their sacrifices, and you have very, very old people in wheelchairs being wheeled around, and they're the offspring of people who did the fighting wearing their forebears medals and marching bands. And
you mean World War I and all the wars after? Is that?
Yeah, basically all the ones that we've participated.
Sounds like it's kind of a Veterans Day type thing.
Yeah, it sort of is, yeah. But the legend that's built up around the Anzacs is kind of like, and the Charge of the Light Brigade, which you guys have probably never heard of, is that sort of, I wouldn't say glorifying war, but celebrating the what it costs to have our freedom as it stands today.
Maybe sort of celebrating the courage of the people who served in them.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Into the Valley of Death rode the 600. Yeah. Yep.
But
what day is that, Maxie?
Now you've got me.
Because we have a Memorial Day and we have a Veterans Day, where we kind of recognize, our, folks that were in military service.
I think it moves around a little bit. Next year it's going to be the 25th of April, but it's sort of in that sort of late April-ish area.
Okay. But kind of like Thanksgiving is here. It's never on the same day. It's always on like a Thursday, maybe the third Thursday of the month or something like that.
I think it's like the last Thursday of November, isn't it?
Or something like that, yeah.
Well, we have Remembrance Day on the 11th, and you're supposed to be quiet for 1 minute.
Oh shit! I couldn't do that.
The 11th hour on the 11th day.
Yeah, that's not going to happen with me, especially if I get talking about Alita. I'm not going to be quiet for a minute.
But Remembrance Day and Anzac Day are sort of two other things that are celebrated in inverted commas down here. It's more remembrance than celebration, though. And one thing that's Melbourne centric or Melbourne specific is the Moomba Festival, which is the lead up to their grand final of what used to be the Victorian League football, but became the Australian League football. But it's a variation on a type of football where you do a lot of kicking rather than, running with the ball. You actually can't run more than, I think it's 4 steps without bouncing it, and then you kick it through the air rather than.
Oh, that's the Aussie rules football.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've watched that.
Originally, the Victorian Football League, VFL. So back when I was a kid, it was only played really in Victoria, and it spread to South Australia, which is next door to Victoria, and it didn't find much purchase in New South Wales because New South Wales has 2 other leagues of what we call football, which is rugby league and rugby union, which is the rugby that came out of England and Scotland. But that sort of Aussie rules football, it's like a religion down in Victoria, and they have the Moomba Parade, which is sort of like celebrating the teams that got into the grand final, and they also used to have like you see in that first picture there, they used to have sort of blow up animals that floated in the air, and they used to drag them around, but I think they've sort of gone off of that now. It's a little bit more downplayed than it used to be. We also used to have Easter parades way back in the day. In fact, just before COVID started, there was an Easter parade here in my hometown, like where I'm living now. And I actually took my son to see it when he was like 3, and he got shit scared of the people with the big heads. But
yeah,
I don't think they've done it since COVID hit, so that's a bit of a shame. But
yeah, we're not done with COVID here either. My brother and one of my nephews got it.
So, well, yeah, there's another wave coming through. So
yeah, that's right.
Get your masks back out if you know what's good for you.
Yeah. Well, they've both been vaccinated to the hilt, so they're not going to really suffer much from it.
Yeah, I mean, you can treat it like the flu, but there is some suggestions, and it's always hard to know because we've only had 3 years of contact with this thing, but there's some suggestions that it might have long-term consequences to your overall health.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, not getting it too often is probably a lot better than getting it multiple times a year.
Yeah. Well, I tested negative, so I'm not really worried about it. So.
Yeah, I tested myself earlier this week because my son came home with a sniffle.
Oh,
and we're like, oh shit, let's make sure this isn't COVID.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay. So anyway, I guess anything else? Did we forget anything, guys?
Yeah, I'm coming up empty.
Well, I do think that religion as a concept is still around because there's a lot of references in, serve in hell and reign in hell and serve in heaven and face of an angel and all this sort of stuff. So the terms,
the terminology is survived.
It's still there. Yeah, that's right.
Whether it's got any connection to religion anymore or what the meaning is for the people is something you'd have to go there and ask them.
Well, I just think Vector was educated. That's all I think, and he knew Milton. That's all I think it was. But it could be that he's I don't know, some religion.
Well, that's a straight sort of translation from the text of the manga to the movie.
It's more of a literary quote than a religion thing.
Yeah.
But I've got the impression from the manga, especially with that one little showing of that one small religious group, that there are at least small pockets of religion in the scrapyard. And I imagine it probably holds true for Iron City as well.
Maybe even Badlands too, right?
Yeah, probably the Badlands as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how many people are out there. I mean, I got the impression that there were some small settlements out in the Badlands in the movie, but it wasn't necessarily as widespread as it was in the manga. In the manga, they seem to have a lot more little pockets of, populations here and there scattered around the world.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that impression necessarily from the movie, but then we didn't really see much of it in the movie either.
Yeah.
But the notes that that one guy, I don't know if you ever checked it out, that one website that had the notes from Cameron's, the notes that Cameron had for the movie when he was putting it together.
Samples of his 1,000 pages that he gave Rodriguez, yeah.
Yeah, there was mentions of the Barjack whenever they liberated a village, they would start handing out weapons to children like it was candy. And Alita having a real strong reaction to seeing that kind of thing. So there were definitely, villages out there, or they planned on showing some villages out there.
Okay, I guess Alejandro or Angelus, anything you can think of we missed?
No, I think it's almost complete. I would say that another sport that I would like to see in a sequel is maybe a race in Monogyros. I would love to see Alita running against Hugo or his friends running in that motorcycles. I think it could be very interesting and very nice.
Okay. It would seem if they had motorball there as a sport, motorcycle racing would be a natural. It seemed to me. I don't know.
Well, it seems like maybe motorball is like the most popular.
Yeah.
What would pass as a national sport, for lack of a better term, but they probably have other little contests and things that they probably do around other parts of the city as well, and probably outside the city, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't know if they still have cow tipping.
Cow tipping.
Well, if you got farms out there.
Do they have cows?
I thought they
imagine
only
they
did
probably
that down south.
Well, if it's in South America, it's way down south.
Well, no, I mean southeastern U.S.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. I thought Kansas was in that area.
Oh no, Kansas is Middle America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's flat. Well, at least western Kansas is flat. Eastern Kansas is got some rolling hills on it. There are no mountains in Kansas. That's why I think it's not Kansas City. But anyway, that's another story. Or in Missouri, Kansas. It's funny, Kansas City, it kind of straddles two states, Missouri and Kansas. So, it's, I guess, the river that runs through, I can't remember the name of the river, Missouri River, I guess it is. Yeah. So anyway, I guess that we got about all we're going to get out of that. And as you can see, Alita loves her Uncle Creek. So anyway, because he wants to get her a sequel, that's why. Yep. So, and here's our queen right here. Boy, she looks good in that picture, doesn't she? She's number one in the Creeks book. She's a great actor, So, by the way, Maxie, did you notice that Jesse Fisher used the word actress? Did you notice that?
Well, I was just going with what the general
mainstream
was with Hollywood at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
It's just what is preferred. But then I guess that whole they them thing. I don't prescribe to that. So
I'm not even sure what to think of that these days. They seem to change so much frequently.
Yeah, don't want to go there.
Yeah, it just seems to be a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it does. Pronouns get people all upset sometimes. So anyway, it doesn't hurt that our queen is really pretty. I mean, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful lady right there, man. And she did a great job on Alita. I mean, she is Alita. So anyway. Maxie, I guess either you or Angelus, I don't know which one of you are the host. I did, yes, Maxie, I did fill in my thing in the show notes, but I don't know which one of you is the host. So whoever is, you want to talk about this?
Well, it was my topic, so.
Okay.
Actually, I had a bit of an epiphany, and now we have topics out to February next year, so I'm feeling quite proud of myself.
See, coming on the Alita stream helps.
Well, I didn't do it this morning. It was the other night. But it was amazing. I was just like, oh, here's an idea. I actually came up with the topic, and I'm going, where can I fit this? Crap. There's no way to put it. But we got topics out the wazoo.
Well, this is going to be a good topic because there's 10 years that we don't know what the hell happened with Alita.
Yeah, well, look, bring your ideas hats, pop them on your head, and join the stream and give us all your ideas of what was going on in those 10 years. What sort of stories would they have been telling? I don't know if you've got time on Saturdays, Lee. It doesn't sound like you do, or else I think you'd be there. But being a storyteller yourself, maybe you'd want to come to this one if you could swing it.
I probably wouldn't mind, but yeah, at 3:00 is when I have to head out to go to a friend's house for a weekly game that we run.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dang it.
That wouldn't have to be Cran, would it? KranberriJam. No, I'm kidding. Because she does that a lot too. She does a lot of gaming,
Well, Lee, I'm going to drop advertising for this in about 10 hours or so.
Okay.
So if you have any ideas, you can whack them in there, and we'll read them out. So there's your.
Well, I can bring up the treatment I'm working on.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's about her going into the Badlands. So.
Yeah, but I mean, look, any sort of ideas that we can rattle around and come up with stuff, might give you some ideas for some more fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
So I am kind of stuck on mine right now.
Oh dear. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yes, he does.
Yes, Creaky, I know I owe you.
Of course, I can only say that to you. I can't say that to Lee because he says, "Have you read my chapter 3 yet?"
No.
So,
look, if I can just get past this bottleneck, I think it'd be fine. But talk about writer's block. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about The Good, the Bad, and the Battle Angel, 10 years in the Badlands. What sort of things has Alita been up to in those 10 years that Yukito has talked about? I mean, there is one side story. But there's a lot of stuff there that could have been happening that hasn't been talked about. So yeah, put your storytelling hat on, come up with some ideas, and join us for that one. Should be a lot of fun.
Yep. Okay, so join us for that one. And of course, now to settle up this stream right here, we know why this image is here, don't we?
Yep.
Because the Creek runs a stream and he really likes this image.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like her in boots. You know, I mean, she looks pretty tough ass in boots like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And of course, to paraphrase Grishka, I'm only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, all of us are only here for the Alita Army and Alita. So there you have it. Okay, I guess, God, can you guys, any last thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Afraid.
Alejandro, any last thoughts?
I think it's complete of your theme that you are trade. I think very good.
Maxie?
Good stream.
Thanks.
Not much that I could add to it, unfortunately, because Thanksgiving is not really a thing here. But,
yeah, that's right. Angelus?
No, out of words. I'm just completely enamored by Alita's Uwu.
Angelus is playing
yes.
blankety blanks with his brain right now. So.
Yeah. Well, he's mesmerized by Alita's Uwu. So there you have it. So, okay. So I guess on that note, I guess on my count of three, we'll do the count of the call to action, and that would be 1, 2, 3.
Film those
Film
sequels,
those
baby.
baby. And thanks for being on the Alita live stream. And we'll see you next week. And we'll see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita live stream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.